So they released an article, The Islamization of Britain. And again, before I even read the short article and then we talk about it, let me just tell you it's not just Britain. It's the Islamization of Earth. And we'll come back to that statement. The Islamization of Britain. Mosques are multiplying as Christianity fades. Windsor Castle, once a symbol of British royalty, now echoes with Ramadan prayers. Mosques are multiplying. Sharia courts are expanding in the UK. Political leadership is shifting. A lot of support by Starmer for Islam in the UK as well. Over 1,800 mosques now stand across England, with more than 80 Sharia courts operating alongside British law. The Muslim population set to double in just 2 decades. The Christian population has dipped below 50%. The Muslim population set to nearly double by 2030 in the UK. Again, with the 2030, number one. And number two, the growth rate is phenomenal. And one of the reasons they give for that is they say the fertility rates amongst the Islamic group of people is extremely high, 2.7 children per woman. And they're extremely young as a majority. So most of their demographic is in the 28, 29-year-old range. And that is why they're outgrowing anybody else. I think there's bigger reasons behind it than that, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But as of 2025 beginning, Christians worldwide are sitting, according to the latest count, at about 2.7 billion as the number one faith on earth. Number two is Islam, the Muslims, at 1.9 billion. Now, these are the numbers released for 2025, probably by year end. And if you look, number one spot, Christianity at 2.43 billion. Islam at 2 billion, just over 2 billion, which shows you a growth from what I was just talking about, and a decline in Christianity that I was just showing. Non-religious, 1.3 billion. Hinduism comes down to 1, Buddhism, half, and then Chinese folk religions, ethno-religion, other, Sikhism, and right at the bottom, Judaism at just shy of 15 million, sitting right there. So those are the numbers. Now, the growth rate per group, Christianity's global percentage is at 31% with a 1.63% Protestant growth rate. Islam, 24% global percentage with a 2.5% growth rate. Hinduism, 15% global with a 1.5% growth rate. And Buddhism at a 7% global and 1.2% growth rate. Now, that's just to give you the picture on what's happening worldwide with faith. And what I want to tell you is when the rapture takes place, a majority of this number here, because let's face it, not everyone who claims to be Christian has a relationship with Jesus Christ or is Christian. You can't stand in a garage where your vehicle is and think you're a car. It's not how it works. So a lot of people claim and will call out and say they are believers, but he will say, "Depart from me, I never knew you." So of this big number here, the majority of this we're hoping will be taken, right? That immediately changes this whole graph, and Islam becomes the number one faith in the world. And Islamic positioned all over the world, infiltrating into all the countries, prepared military-age males ready to serve Antichrist in the final 7-year tribulation. Then you understand why the sudden mass migration into all the first world countries from their own countries and set up and working themselves into leadership and positions of power and preparing everything and integrating, because they too are preparing for that final week of Daniel. And this shows you how suddenly the whole world will be number one, Islam, and then the rest underneath that. And then everything is going to change to the worship of the beast at the right time. So pray for the lost, reach out to the lost, support ministries, do what you can. There is not a lot of time left for us to reach the lost. Shalom.